Hi, can you hear me? Okay, I don't hear you though.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, there you are. There you are.
Okay. That
Yay!
okay. Well, hopefully everybody heard my intro then and it wasn't just me in silence because that would have been
I
fun.
I didn't hear it, but
You didn't hear
maybe
it?
no. You sounded like
Okay.
just talking, but I didn't hear your voice.
Oh no. Well, in that case, let me just gotta love it. I was so trying not to screw up my intro today because I was watching last week's video and apparently I kicked it off and said World of Dance instead of Women of Dance.
Well, World of Dance is a pretty good show.
It is,
You're
it
in good
is, but
company.
I am in good company, but I don't want people thinking that I'm trying to. This is not World of Dance. This is
Right.
Women of Dance.
That's
So
right.
for those of you that were tuned in from the beginning but couldn't hear me, my apologies. I am your host Sharonne Vinokurov, and today my guest is my dear friend and incredible talent, Christina Piedra. So welcome, my dear, to the show. I'm so
Thank
happy to have you
you.
on.
Me too. So happy to be here. It works today. I'm so excited.
I know. For
Technology is on
anyone,
our side.
well, apparently more on yours today than it is on mine.
I'm sending you good juju. There you go.
All the juju. For those of you that have been following the show from the beginning, you might know that Christina and I tried to do this a few weeks ago, but technology was not on our side that day. So I'm super grateful that she was so gracious to come back and try this again. So, Christina, let's talk about you from the beginning. Give everybody a little background on you and tell us about how your dance life began.
Wow. Okay. Well, my dance life has been pretty much my whole life, right? So I, like you, started with ballet, although I think you went further than I did. I quit at a young age. My family wasn't happy about that, but we'll get to that part. So, so I started at maybe like 4 or 5 years old. Ballet, tap, jazz, all that stuff. And for me, it's just always been something a part of my life. It's like we say, it's cliche, but it's very true. It's not a part of who I am. It's who I am. It's not something I do. It's who I am. Right. So that's how I've
Absolutely.
always felt about dancing. It's not like a hobby or just a thing that I do. It's just like part of my life and it's part of me as a person. And ever since I can
Absolutely.
remember, and I know you get that, and a lot of us fellow dancers just understand that. But it's just, and I'm sure it's that way for other people with other things, right? With their
Absolutely.
true passions. Yeah. So
Yeah, for
that's
sure.
that's been the case since I was, child. And then moving forward, I didn't discover salsa till my like early 20s. I was graduating
Okay.
college. Yeah, I honestly like I didn't really. This is embarrassing to admit, but I didn't really even listen to salsa much. Like in my family
Really?
growing up, yeah, my parents were like very I don't want to say romantic because that's probably not accurate, but their choice of music was very romantic. There was always ballads
Okay.
and kind of like this kind of like slow, like just a lot of boleros and ballads. That's what was playing in my home, right?
Okay.
And we're a small family. When we would get together, it's typical Cuban family, lots of people speaking very loudly, but honestly it wasn't a whole lot of dancing, right? So like when people think like Latino families, everybody's dancing, it wasn't really like that in my household. Like my dad was terrified of dancing, super shy. My mom used to dance in Cuba. She used to do ruedas in Cuba, so she
Okay.
did dance salsa, and she always tells everyone like she got it from me, like that's her thing. But like as
Love
far as like
it.
my family in general, it's not a whole lot of dancers, so I didn't really grow up with that. And I just the story is, and it's a pretty funny one. A close friend of mine, she's like a sister to me. Like we started together from kindergarten, and
Oh, wow.
she,
That's a lifelong friendship right
yeah, this
there.
is like a like sister from another mister, right? But I love her to death, but she's a little bit klutzy. Like she's not the most coordinated girl. Like she and I were opposites in growing up, right? So one day we went to the Copa with her boyfriend at the time, and she and her boyfriend started dancing salsa. And I was
Okay.
like really confused because I was like, wait, how do you know how to do that? And I don't. Like something's wrong here.
Yeah.
So that, and I
Something's
just,
not adding up.
no, like I just remember like looking at her like, wow, that's really cool. Like, where'd you learn that? Right. And whoever taught you that, it must be very skilled. I love you, but must be very skilled. And I want to go there. Right. So this is how I met Juan Calderon.
Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't know who he was either. And ironically, like I'm a firm believer in spirituality and the universe and
Oh,
signs
for
and like,
sure. For
we can
sure.
have a whole chat on that, girl, because I'm totally into that.
We
And
totally could.
so, yeah, I'm like big into like energy and auras and all this and signs. At the time, I was thinking about getting into Latin dancing because it was just something,
Okay.
I was like learning new dance styles. It had
Yeah.
crossed my mind, but I never like really went forward with it. And I had Google searched or whatever it was. I don't know. Was there Google back then? I have no idea.
I mean, I
Like,
don't
I don't
know.
know.
Do we really want to date ourselves right now? I mean,
I mean, girl, we've been in this a long time.
yes,
So
we have.
I don't even know what it was. I searched something and Juan's website came out and it had like little like rocket ships and asteroids and like really weird stuff. And it said, we'll take your dancing out of this world. Juan, if you're watching that website, man, that was something. That was something.
Oh my God. Juan, if you are watching, please comment. I would love to know about that website.
It literally had asteroids and a rocket ship, and it was like really funny. Like it looked like a cartoon thing. And I just
Wow.
remember saying, "Taking dancing out of this world." And I looked at it and I thought, I don't know about this. This is weird. So I didn't like follow up with it. But then when my friend, her name is Olga, Olga says to me, "Oh, I went to this guy. He's like really good. This is where I learned." And then it was like the same guy from the asteroid website, and I was like, "Oh, look at this. This is a sign. This is a sign."
I feel like that happens to a lot of us. Something makes that connection and you're like, "Oh, wait. This is interesting. This is an interesting situation all of a sudden." Like,
Right. Like, what are the odds? Like, this worked out.
exactly.
So I went there. I took my first steps with him. And
Okay.
I love to tell this story because it's true. It's funny. My first basic, I did it backwards because I didn't have a clue. So right foot back, not a thing. Don't know. And when the class started, I stepped forward and I stepped on the guy who would then become my first dance partner. His name was Sergio, really nice guy, very tall guy, really sweet, very quiet, very shy. He didn't like doing any of the sexy moves when we had a choreo and you had to like smack the girl's butt or like
Oh
touch her
God.
leg. He was always like, no, no. And I was like, but why not? Everybody else is getting their butt smacked. Like, come on.
You wanted your butt smacked too. I get
Like
it.
I
You
want
wanted
to
to be
get in
part of
on
the
the
butt smacking
action.
crew.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
very shy, but that was the guy. The first dance later became the first dance partner, and I stepped on him, and I was like, "Ooh, okay, did that wrong." But 6 months later, I was at the Puerto Rico World Salsa Congress, and that was my first Congress. And I didn't know what the heck I was getting into. Juan was like, "We're going to Puerto Rico, blah blah blah, whatever." I'm like, "Oh, cool, Puerto Rico, that's nice. That'll be fun." I go there, and I was shell shocked, like, wow, what is this planet? Like, what is this? This is another
Yeah.
planet. And I did not like, I walked in there in that ballroom, and girl, I never looked back.
Life
That
changing.
never looked back because there was something about, I don't want to sound, again, I'm dating myself. Times were different back then, but it was. It was a
Mm-hmm.
different energy. It was a different vibe, going back to energies, right? There was just something in the air
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't competitive, that wasn't judgy, that wasn't whatever. It was this real love for dancing, like sweating your
Yep.
butt off. Everybody's there for the same thing, and you're just like, everybody was supporting each other. And even though I was scared because I was not good, I had been dancing 6 months and these people were amazing, but I felt like welcomed. I felt like loved. And I promised myself I was going to get good at this thing, this beautiful thing that I was watching. And I knew that I would be doing it forever.
I love it. I can't believe Puerto Rico, though, was your first Congress. Talk about intimidating.
Oh my God, I was terrified. There were so many amazing dancers. I met Fernando Sosa then. He was
Wow.
not the Fernando Sosa, right? He had started out. I mean, he had been obviously in it longer than I have, but like he was still new. And I just remember like, this guy's so cool. Like he was so nice, super friendly. He was always supportive. Whenever we were practicing in the hallway, he would walk by and be like, "Great job, guys," or whatever. And I'm like, wow, that's Fernando Sosa. Like that he's one of my favorites,
And
hands
he's
down.
still super nice and super friendly.
He's all of that, and he's
All
such
of
a
that.
genius. And I mean, I seriously respect this guy. So it's cool for me to think back and be like, wow, like to see. And there was so many teams. I think Jason Molina was there. That's when I met him. And a whole bunch of other like maybe dancers that aren't dancing anymore, but just um so many like European talents, Adrian and Anita, who I love. I also love
Love,
them. Yeah, I
love.
think we have the same favorites.
I think we do too. We have
I
a
think
lot
we
in
do.
common. I
You
think we
know
have the same
why?
taste in a lot of stuff.
We do. You know why? Because we come from a technical background. So I think we like the same things because I think we appreciate that technical aspect, or the
Agree.
eye for the lines and the feet and all these things that are important, but also you still want to have the flavor and the rhythm and what makes it Latin, right? So the marriage
Absolutely.
between those two things, and when you see a dancer excel at that, like Adrian and Anita and Fernando and all these other ones that we can talk about, that's to me is like, wow, that's perfection. When you have those two things and you can
The
do them so
merging
well.
perfectly.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely. So let's go into some of your videos and stuff because you've
Yay.
mentioned your time with culture, well, joining Juan and Cultural Explosion.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
This
that's my sister.
so this is a routine of yours. Was this how long were you with the company at this point?
Okay, I don't remember what year this was. I want to say 2005. Can you help me out there?
Yes, it's 2005 Chicago Salsa Congress.
Right. Okay. So I think 2002, 2002 maybe was when I started. I forget if it was 2001, 2002 that I went to that first, PR World Congress, and I had been in it about 6 months. So if I'm correct in that, I'm terrible with years and timelines. I want to say let's go with 2001. So at this point, it would have been 4 years.
Oh wow.
And I started out just a team member, but Juan's dance partner at the time, her name was Diana. She was moving away, and he needed a new partner, and he was looking at auditioning, trying out different ladies in the scene, and one of them was Sonia.
Oh really?
Yes, ma'am. That's how I met Sonia, because they
Oh,
were
wow.
considering being dance partners at the time that Diana was moving away, and he was trying out different people, and that's how I met Sonia. I've known Sonia that long. She had just gotten into salsa from her ballroom scene, and so I started just kind of like a member on the team, and eventually we started doing shows together because he was having trouble finding a partner for different various reasons, scheduling and all sorts of different things. And then he was just like, wait, this is kind of working out. Like you're doing well. I can keep training you. And I hadn't been in it that long at that time. Like, again, maybe it was like a year at that point. And so my day job, which was, I was an IT recruiter. That's what I did out of college. That was falling apart. And so the timing just worked out where I said, okay, you know what? I'll do this with you while you're looking for a partner, until you find whatever, somebody that you're happy with. And it works for me because my job wasn't doing well, and it just ended up being something that became permanent. Like from that point on, it wasn't intentional. That wasn't what I thought was going to happen, but here I am, over 20 years later, and that's it. That became my full-time job. At this point, Chicago is a Congress that Juan went to from day one. Their very first Congress, he's been there every year. I missed like 2 or 3. One year there was a snowstorm and we got snowed out, but Juan still went. This
Oh
guy,
my
when he wants to make
god.
it happen, he's gonna make it happen. Like he'll find a way. He'll I don't know. There was no flights out of Jersey, but he like drove to Philly or something. I don't know what he did, but he still got there. And there was another year something happened. I think I missed. Well, I didn't go the first year. He went with Diana, and then I missed the snow year, and I missed something else. I think maybe 3 years. He's been to every single one, and we love that Congress. Like we get a lot of love in Chicago. We have a lot of friends and fans in Chicago. That particular performance, we did a something for Juan. We were doing like a tribute to Juan for some party or something. Maybe it was his birthday, and we had choreographed the footwork part just to the
Okay.
song. Yeah, and we enjoyed it. We were like, oh, this was fun or whatever. And then we said, let's just choreograph the rest and make a dance out of it and take it to the Congress. We were short a guy, and that third guy in the video, he doesn't come out too much in the clip. That's Josue. He used to dance for Caribbean Soul. And he was
Oh
just
really?
kind of, yeah. So we've had a lot of people like come in, like, Darlin used to dance with us back in the day. He started with
This
us.
is very true. I've heard this story before. He would drive
Yeah.
all the way up to North Jersey to train,
Yep.
and then he
Darlin
would
and
go.
Merca. At the time, it was
Yep.
Merca.
Yep.
We've and that's something I love, by the way, honestly. Like I love to bring people on. I love having other talents and dancers on the team, and I'm proud to say we've had a lot of great dancers. So this routine that was Beethoven, the one you
Oh,
just put
okay.
up. We decided we wanted to do something with a classical song because Juan always had crazy ideas that at the time sounded nuts, but then later I realized we're genius. So like he wanted to take a classical song and do salsa to it, and I choreographed to whatever it was. I don't even remember that B song. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know exactly which piece
he's
you're talking about.
do salsa shines to that. I was like, excuse me, what? He's like, just do it. Just do salsa shines to that. And I did.
This
And
is
there's,
true.
there was that. And here, I think we're at a workshop somewhere, but I don't know where we were there.
I just wanted to
Oh,
have some people seeing you doing your thing. So we're
yeah.
gonna. I mean, there's a lot of videos that are going to be playing. Most of them are
Okay,
going
we'll
to
just
be
kind of let
cultural
them.
explosion. They're just going to let him play. If there's something specific you
Do
want to
you
talk
remember
about,
the showdowns with La Luna? That's what that was.
hmm
We used to do a little competition against La Luna every year. That was so
I
much fun.
remember.
Yep. We would come and bring all of our teams down because we had our student team, we had semi-pro, we had pro footwork, lady styling, all this stuff, an amateur, we had a pro-am and all this like different divisions, like a comp, like our own little comp. And then La
Yep.
Luna would bring theirs and we would do this whole thing and every, the what
The
head to head
divisions
on
will
each
go each other.
division.
Yep.
Right. And at the end they would tally it up. So that was that year that we came up to North Jersey because we would go down one year, go down another year, they'd come up.
Yep.
So yeah, we were big on themes, like we always like to try to tell a story in our choreographies. That first one that you played in Chicago, that one was one of the first ones that we didn't have a theme because leading up in those first like whatever it was 4 or 5 years, all the
hmm
numbers had themes. We had a circus theme. We had oh my god, this is funny. It's gonna sound funny. One was called S&M. Yes, S&M, like what you think it is.
hmm
And so yeah, so we had whips and chains and we had whips and the guys would lead us with the whips, like the turn pattern holding the whip and
Oh
doing
my
the
god.
like this. Yeah, and we had of course the cowboys and Indians, which was the routine that like put us on the map where we were the girls were the Indians and the guys were the cowboys and we danced to bang 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 biddy bing bang bang
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
with the guns and then the rope and they were leading us with the rope. So we were big on themes and we always had a story. And then when we tried like deviating from that a little bit, Juan was very reluctant. He didn't like it. But I wanted to try different things, right? So this was one of the first numbers. Well, actually, the Chicago one was one of the first ones that didn't have a theme, but it actually still did because the number was called flauta and timbal, which was the timbales and the flute, and we acted it out with our hands and our feet. And there's one part where I don't know if we did it in Chicago, but at some point through the performances, we added sticks, like drumsticks. So we were like doing it in the air to the music, right? So there was still some kind of theme. Like we tried to always have some kind of story in our dances. This one here was called The Rhythm. And we picked out a lot of songs that were very much like telling a story of like the dancer is the rhythm. And we kind
Yeah.
of put in like some like mixes. But yeah, over the years, that was our thing. Like we just loved to like tell stories and have fun themes and we did a lot of choreographies. Like we would have a new one like every 3 to 4 months. Like we were crazy. We were crazy.
I remember a lot of those pieces. I always remember being blown away. I love the fact that you guys did themes. I
Thank
mean,
you.
I know because like when I joined AIM, for example, it was very much like the theme pieces. And that was one of the things
Yes.
that attracted me
Yes.
to it. Like I
Yes.
love the idea of not just doing a crazy salsa routine, but like really telling a story.
Absolutely.
There's something so fantastic about that. And it takes everything to another level.
Because it's memorable.
Yeah, but not
It's
even just for
memorable.
the not just for the audience though. I mean, obviously they'll remember, but like for you as a performer,
Yes.
there's another level of connection to the routine that you just don't get when you're doing like a straight up salsa or bachata.
Right. And again, and I looking back, like, and I say to him all the time, I always say to him, Juan, you were ahead of your time. Because at the
Yeah.
time, some of these things he would say to me, I thought they were insane. So this threesome routine, Darlin was in that one. It was
hmm
the circus thing or whatever. And there was one part of the dance where it was two guys like with a big shirt. So he called it the Siamese twins. So he made the two guys wear a big shirt so it looked like one big dude leading the girls. And like this was part of the dance because there was multiple parts. And I remember telling Juan, like, you're nuts. We performed this in New York. Back then it was with David Melendez. And I was like, they're going to hate us. Like, we're going into New York. It's hardcore mambo world. We're
Mhm.
doing the Siamese twins thing. We look crazy. I swear, Sharonne, I was like, Juan, really? Like, bro, like, I'm like, I don't want to do it. Like, I straight up was like, I don't want to do it. We're going to look crazy. And if I tell you that we got a standing ovation, girl, like, for real, like, the New
I
York
mean,
crowd loved it. And I could not believe it.
listen, they will appreciate something
Yeah.
good when they see it. You can't knock a good product,
It
right?
was it was amazing. I was expecting them to hate it, really, honestly. And
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
we got a standing O, and I was like, wow, that's awesome. And the whole night people were like, oh, it was so cool. Okay,
So it
you know
means
what?
more, you when you don't expect it and you get that
Absolutely.
type of response, it's like, oh my
It's a
God.
confirmation that you should do what your gut tells you, be different. You
Yep.
don't need to do the same thing everyone's doing. Even if you think it's nuts, just go for it. What's the worst that could happen? If they hate it, they hate it. But do it. Do what you feel is in your creative mind. And don't let the doubt stop you.
You're just dropping like all these words of wisdom and guidance. Like, I hope that the people that are watching are like taking it all in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I personally would want to see more of that from dancers now. You know, like to
Absolutely.
just take risks, because I think ultimately the dancers that take risks are the ones that are remembered and are still around, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Um
Absolutely.
yeah.
You need that. You need the pushing and the risk taking to grow, not just like as a dancer, but like as a scene.
That was from our theater show. We did oh gosh, what was that song? Spanish Harlem Orchestra. My favorite things.
Okay.
And
Oh,
my
I love that
favorite
one.
things. And we did a theater show because we did three theater shows over the years. These were full productions, crazy amount of choreography. Like I was choreographing like 30 routines in like 3 months. For
Oh
like,
my
it was
God.
insane. Yeah, it was insane. Maybe, yeah, because I think not even, because we did 10-week sessions to prep the students. So it wasn't even 3 months, but like, let's go with that just for, whatever. And yeah, a crazy amount of choreo. And the themes were to the shows were very thematic. So the first one was called Broadway Goes Latin, and we took Broadway famous, what we refer to as iconic um Broadway
Musicals.
musicals like Chicago and
Mhm.
West Side Story, and choreograph took some of the original choreo. It was so awesome doing Jerome Robbins. I mean, like,
Oh my God.
who doesn't want to do
Who
that?
doesn't want to do that?
Right? So like, it was challenging to watch, like, because we didn't have a tutorial, obviously. So it's like picking up the video, looking at YouTube or whatever it is, looking at the video and trying to learn the choreo. That was tough.
Yeah, back
But
then you couldn't slow down the video on YouTube.
right, it was challenging. But we were like, there's no way we're doing West Side Story without actually doing some of the real choreo
You
from West
have
Side
to.
Story. Right.
You have to. You have to draw like pay homage, if you will. You're obviously drawing
Exactly.
inspiration, but
You
when
had
you
to do it.
can,
And it was so
yeah,
much fun. Oh my God, it was so much fun. It was so much work, but it was so much fun. So we did that. And then we added, of course, salsa, our own salsa to it.
of
And
course, of
we had a
course.
whole thing for West Side Story, and we did, Chicago. I forget what else we did, but we did Grease. We did Grease.
Oh, love
Yeah.
Grease.
So that was awesome. So from there, the next one was, I believe, Hollywood Goes Latin. And we took movies and did the
Okay.
same thing, added our Latin twist. And then we did Primetime TV Goes Latin, and we took themes like famous jingles. But this one here was from
Okay.
Hollywood Goes Latin. And that was my favorite things.
All right. I love that song. It's such a good one too.
Oh, such a good one. Ariel and my sister, they were, our number two, like our top couple for a long time, where we would do a lot of duets with them. And people always said that she and I dance so much alike. I mean, I guess obvious reasons, right?
Yeah.
And from far away, they're like, you guys look the same. And then Ariel, of course, is amazing. And I always say one of the best dancers, underrated out there, that he's just incredible, social dancer and all sorts of ways. So I was directing Cultural Explosion with him for a few years after Juan started traveling and doing his thing, and now he's doing other stuff. But then he moved to London, so he's in London now. So
Yeah.
right now I have Cultural Explosion on hiatus. Well, the world has been on hiatus because of COVID, right? But
Yeah.
but before that, I had to take a break from CX because I just partnerless. But I'm hoping that there will be something more for CX before I retire. We'll see.
Well, I mean, we've seen that you don't necessarily need a partner to shine. I
We have
mean,
seen I love you.
I mean, you command a stage all by yourself.
Thank you so much.
Talk to
Thank
me
you.
about doing solo work because like you spent so much time as part of a team and part of a partnership and not a lot of people know how scary it is to do solos.
Yeah.
As someone who's done them before and then was like after a couple times I was like I'm not putting myself through this anymore.
Hmm.
Talk to
Hmm.
me about that process for you.
Yeah, it is your most vulnerable state. It is you in your most bare, naked form saying, "This is me. There's nobody else here for you to look at. There's nobody else here to share the limelight. If you don't like it, you don't like me." So it is very scary. You have to put all your insecurities aside. And back to what I was saying earlier, is just have confidence and know that you're putting out your heart, you're putting out your soul, and not everyone's gonna like it, and that's okay, but you have to do what feels good to you. And there's a beauty in sharing that, and doing it by yourself where you can feel
Mhm.
so proud that you had the courage, because it does take a lot of courage to put yourself out there. And when you do, it's not even just about that, because that is a beautiful feeling after. But in the moment, what it is like this beautiful energy that you feel that you can give out, and it is just 100% like love, like it's full love to the audience, like I love you all so much that I'm going to come out here by myself and do this. And it's loving yourself, it's loving yourself enough to feel comfortable in doing that. And there's so much, there's such great rewards in that. It's something that
Absolutely.
I believe every dancer should do at some point or another. It is very scary, but, for me, there was also a little bit of relief in the sense that when I have a team with me, when I have a partner with me, I feel responsible for them
True.
and I feel nervous for them. And if something goes wrong, let's say with me and my partner, I'm upset for my partner. I am way more upset than I am if I mess up.
Yeah.
Because if I mess up, I mess up. Like I used to cry. I used to spend nights in the room where I wouldn't come down to social dance. I used to torture myself. Those days are over. I was young and stupid. Now I know better, that mistakes happen. And right. And you can't beat
They
yourself up.
do.
You need to learn from it and not beat yourself up, because that's toxic. I was very, very hard on myself to levels that I'm almost ashamed of. Oh, I didn't do that one styling move perfect. Like it was ridiculous. So
We're all
it's
guilty of being hard on
ridiculous.
ourselves like that though. I
It's
mean,
terrible, like
it's
what we do to
terrible.
ourselves. We beat ourselves up, right? For not for and when you look back at the videos, the mistakes are
It's never
usually
as bad as you thought it
imperceptible.
is.
Yeah, like you killing yourself, and then you're like, oh, okay, it doesn't even look that bad, but it feels awful because you
In
practice
that
so much.
moment, oh my god, in that moment, it feels like
It
the
feels
end of the
awful.
world. It feels
You're
awful.
practicing hours, days, months, years sometimes for something that's 3 minutes. So you want it to be perfect.
I know. I
You
mean, the
want,
beauty of a
instead of,
solo is if you mess it up, you just,
well,
make
that's
it up
exactly that's
and
exactly where
you're
I was
good.
going with it. That's the beauty of it, because when there would be any sort of mistake, whatever the case may be, whether within me and my partner or with other members on the team out there on the floor, I would feel bad. I would feel responsible. It would make me sad. It would hurt me. The beauty of the solo is it's just me. So yeah, if something goes wrong, you improvise or whatever.
Yep.
And if you are going to be upset or whatever the case may be, and you're going to have those feelings, they're your feelings, and it's not because you're
Absolutely.
feeling bad for other people. So there's always pros and cons, and I do think there's way more pros than cons to doing a solo. Absolutely.
Oh, I 100% agree. It's such a way to grow, not just as a dancer, but
Totally.
as a person.
Yeah, the
A
nerves are
challenge.
just for you,
Mhm.
and you don't have to worry about anybody else. And you really, yeah, it does help you grow, because there's so much that confidence that comes out of that. Even if
I
even
love
if
it.
it's not perfect or whatever, it's just learning to believe in yourself, which really, crosses over into everything else. And if you do have a team, and you have all these other things going on, it crosses over into that, because you feel more confident about yourself, you learn more as a dancer. And I think your dancers also respect you, because they see that you're willing to do that and put yourself out there. So there's a level of respect that comes from that as well.
Absolutely. I'm gonna pull up another, CX routine because you're talking about themes.
Oh yes, oh I
I
love that
remember
one.
this routine very well. I
Oh,
was
that was
like,
one of
"Wait a
my
minute,
faves.
There's a girl in point shoes in a
I
salsa routine. I
know.
was like, what is happening right now? My ballerina heart was like, what
Oh
is
my
going on?
God. You know, you should have called me. I would have put you in there with her. That's Sarah. She's a beautiful ballerina. You would have been fabulous together.
Oh, too late
Should have
now.
called me, girl. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We missed that trick. That was one of those moments. I was so upset. I was so upset forever and ever and ever.
It
Because
happens.
that
It
was a
happens.
helicopter. That was a helicopter and it
Oh,
didn't go
yeah.
up. But yeah, this routine was a theme, yes, obviously, where we decided to put together multiple genres. So we did, you know, the ballet intro, then we had this little like lyrical contemporary thing, then we had the guys doing some hip hop with some break dancing and stepping, and then we did, of course, the salsa. And we even had like a little crump somewhere in there. Like we just try to like throw everything in there, like everything but the kitchen sink, and just put it together and just show that, you know, Latin dancing can be mixed into everything. This was
And it
that this
worked.
Oh my God, this routine was so much fun. It was a lot of work, but it was so much fun.
I almost didn't recognize that was Ariel on the front.
Yeah, that he choreographed that little step part. This here was the hip hop with a little bit of crump there. We have the girls coming in with the leg extension in the back. It was truly was like, let's just mix it all. And you know what? This was before, because this got trendy, right? You know, recent years you see a lot of stuff like this. But
Hmm.
this was, I think, before it was really like cool to mix hip
Oh,
hop
yeah.
and salsa.
This was
Um,
2012. People weren't
yeah,
really doing a lot of that then.
right. And I remember the team was like, "Really? You want to do what?" And the song was totally, oh my God. The group is called Nothing But Strings, and it's violin hip hop, and the music is just gorgeous. Like all of their songs are like that, like violin, like urban violin. It's just the music is stunning, and you can't help but be moved just by listening to it. I wanted to do the dance just for like when we chose the music, I was like, all right, we're doing this because the song is just so amazing. And we mixed it in with a Latin violin, and we just kind of it blended in so perfectly because we used the violin as the instrument to make the theme and took it from the hip hop into the Latin.
I love that.
Yes,
It's
that trick. The guys were always like, "Oh my God, our backs!" Like, sorry guys, as
they'll
we eat
deal with
another
it.
cheeseburger.
Do you
Yeah.
like lifts?
You know what? Initially, I hated them, and I'll tell you why. I'm 5'9".
You are. This is true. You are very tall
I'm
and
five foot
beautiful.
nine, and I was, you know, what I used to be on a cheerleading team. We were national champions. Go Rams, go Rams. Mary, if you're out there, this woman is the first person, and you want to talk about women empowerment? She was the one that got me into the path of dancing, because had I not met her, I probably wouldn't be sitting here right now. I had very little confidence
Wow.
growing up. I was 5'9" at 13, so I felt like a total dork. And
Oh my
yeah,
God.
yeah, maybe I was like 5'7", but I was very tall. From young, and I felt completely awkward. You know, that typical story, it's true. Like when you don't grow into your body and you're young, you feel like a dork. Like I was,
Yeah.
just completely awkward, and everybody was short. All the girls were shorter than me. Now mind you, like I'm growing up in Union City around all Latinas, so like they're usually 5'2". You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, so I felt completely awkward. That was the first thing. Second thing, I was very studious and like a bookworm, and I was like a nerd. So you know, I was one of those, like, you know, I wasn't didn't do too well like with like socially. And I tried out for the cheerleading team because a friend of mine at the time wanted to try out. She didn't make it and I did, and I just went for moral support. I wasn't trying to
Ooh,
be a cheerleader. I was a bookworm. And I was like, wait, what? How did this happen? But it was because I had a dance background, right? So she wanted me on the
mhm.
team because it was cheer dance. So I said,
Gotcha.
okay, I'm gonna try this out. And that's back to what I was telling you earlier, that my family got pissed because I quit ballet to do the cheerleading.
Oof.
I was 13 and I had just gotten on point maybe like 2 years before.
Yeah, because you don't
And
really get on point until you're 11.
your feet, right,
You
until you're
shouldn't.
11. You shouldn't, because
You
it'll jack up your
shouldn't.
foot. Some
Yep.
teachers do it, but they shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, they really shouldn't be doing it.
So yeah, it was maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years max, that I was on point, and I stopped because I chose, because the rehearsals were like every night, very intense. This was a nationally ranked team, and I just couldn't do both, and I had to choose. And parents didn't love my choice, but it was the right choice because she gave me so much confidence. This woman, like I felt very uncomfortable. The girls were like, "What's she doing here? What's she doing?" And she was always very supportive. Like, she's here because I chose her, because I believe in her, because she's amazing. And she put me front and center for the first show that I was in with them, the first competition.
Oh,
And I
wow.
remember, I remember thinking, what are you doing? Why you don't put me here? She was like, no, like that's where you're going to dance and you're going to do it and you're going to kick ass. And I was like, but I'm too tall. She's like, no, you're perfect. Yeah, I want you there. That makes sense. You make sense right there. And her doing that, like, she doesn't know what that did for me. Cause that just,
Oh,
yeah, that just changed my life. Cause I suddenly was like, okay, maybe it's not so bad. And maybe I'm not weird. And I could be front and center and I'm not, awkward. I'm okay. Yeah. And I started to believe the things she said. And that was life changing for me.
I love that. Well, to that teacher or your friend, whoever she is, we want to thank her
Yes. Oh,
for that
yes.
because we
Yep. I
now
wouldn't
have
have been
you.
doing all that. I wouldn't have been doing all that for sure. For
I
sure.
love it. Do
Those
you
days, go
no, go
ahead.
on.
Sorry.
No, you go.
That was Porto, and Juan used to make me do freestyle solos like every week. Like he would just be like, "Okay, you're doing another one," and I'm just like, "Bro, like I'm, what really?" Like, he would just be
This is
like,
all
"Yeah,
freestyle?
this was freestyle, girl. All these whatever you find, like if you go on YouTube and you look up Porto or any videos of me, in
I have
this
a
like
couple of them in here.
they're all freestyle. He would make me perform every week, and I was just like, all right. I mean, I there was no way that I would have enough routines. Like this was literally every week for like 3 years that I was
Oh
doing
my
stuff.
God.
Yeah. And so one of those routines became my bachata sete nota because I did a freestyle and I liked it so much. And my girls that were there from the team were like, yo, that was really good. I went back and learned it and I
Oh,
adjusted
wow.
it. Of course, I adjusted it and I fixed it and I tweaked it and I improved it. But the bulk of that sete nota routine came from a freestyle that I did at Porto.
I love that. That's
Yeah.
inspiration at its finest.
Thank you.
I
Yeah, those
believe
were good times.
so. You said that Juan had left on his adventures and kind of left you
Yeah.
handling culture alone.
Uh-huh.
When was that? When did that happen? And what was that transition like for you
It
to
was
go
rough.
from having a partner to do this with or to follow because it was his baby, to instead of being the partner, it just being really all you?
Hang
Talk
on,
to
I'm
me
gonna
about that
pull.
transition.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, because I just want to charge a little bit because I see it going down.
Oh,
Okay, that was rough. So he knows that. He knows it was rough for me
okay.
because it was unexpected. Well, okay. It was not fully unexpected. I knew he was a little bit unhappy. He had been unhappy for a while because he was feeling unappreciated. He put a lot, like this man put his heart and soul into dancing and into cultural explosion, and he really did. He like when I tell you he dedicated his life, it was like truly his life. Like he barely did anything else. He was working day and night. Whenever he wasn't teaching, he was home working, promoting, doing whatever he needed to do, and it was constant. And I think because he just did so much, he burnt out. And I know that he was struggling with that, with those feelings, but I didn't know it was to the extent that he was just gonna like stop.
Be
Right?
done.
So he had tossed around telling me that his dream was to travel, and that his like, but it was kind of like when you say like, oh, I would, if in a dream, like in a
Yeah.
bubble, this is what I would want to do, but like you like, and it doesn't
Or if
usually
I
doesn't
won the
happen.
lottery, like what would I
Yeah,
do?
right. Like it's kind of like, well, if you could, but like it doesn't. You don't take it serious.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
so he would tell me that. He would be like, well, I would just want to pack up and like be a nomad, just go, just travel, and just not really have a home, like just go from country to country and see the world. And I was just like, what are you talking about? Like, and me, I don't like change, so I'm completely opposite. I'm the kind of person where like change terrifies me. I like
Mhm.
consistency and constant. So this to me sounded insane, and I was like, well, I'm not coming with you, right? Like I'm not doing that. um, and he was like, oh, whatever. So he would say that. I didn't take it seriously, but he started feeling these things, and then it just kind of like one day, like it to me, it looking back, it wasn't overnight, but it felt that way. But
Gotcha.
looking back, it wasn't, because I could see the progression and I could see that things were happening. He wasn't happy, and he was like searching for new things. So he started getting into Zouk, and he started getting into Kizomba. He started like doing these different things, and like some of the stuff he was doing, I wasn't connecting with anymore. So we were kind of having some disconnections as partners. And this traveling dream was not to say it's not my dream to travel, but that life, the nomad life, I didn't
Yeah.
want it. So it was a matter of time, but at the time I didn't see it, right? Because I was kind of in denial. But it just happened, like where one day he just said, I'm not gonna do this anymore. So if you want cultural explosion, it's yours. If you don't, okay. And I'm leaving. It was kind of like that.
Deuces, I'm out.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. And we had just picked up Island Touch, which is something that I've had now for like almost a decade. I've been doing it for like 9 years or something. He had just picked
Yes,
it
you
up. So
have.
yeah, like that's how I know how long ago it was, because you said how long, you asked me how long ago.
Mhm.
It was about 9 years ago, because we had just picked up Island Touch, and he was like, I don't want to do any he didn't want to do anything anymore. He just wanted to go, and he's like, I need to do my thing, right? And I was like, okay, you do your thing. I slept on it a little bit, and I decided that I wasn't like it, there was too many memories of, we were performing on a cruise there. That was awesome.
Yeah, Aventura Dance Cruise.
Aventura Dance Cruise, before they had the whole ship. and I just felt that it was too much to like just give up on. Like I couldn't just let it die, right? So I was
For sure.
terrified. I had never done the business side before. I had always been the artistic director. I did the choreography, with Juan's help, but I did all the choreography. I did the costuming. I did, all that stuff, the staging, the lighting, all the artistic stuff. I didn't do anything. I had nothing to do with the business. I didn't want anything to do with the business. I don't want to talk about money. I don't want to go after people for dues. I don't want to be collecting emails. I don't want to be promoting. I don't want to end up, nope. You do that. I do this. So now he
I
goes,
had no idea that you were handling all of that stuff for
yes.
CX while he was still here. You were handling all the choreography and the staging. That was all you?
Yes, with Juan. So it's not to say that he didn't participate. The ideas, like the clown theme and the S&M, the ideas were his, right? So he
Mhm.
come up with the themes primarily. I might have come up with a few, but they were primarily his ideas. But I would do the choreography.
See, I wish more people knew about that stuff. The involvement behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
Well, because women typically don't get looked at. We're just the partner. Like for many years, it was Juan Calderon and partner.
Yeah.
And I'm listen, like I'm not about the fame and the credit. Like honestly, I'm not. And
Yeah.
that stuff
You're
didn't,
in it for the dancing. You're in it because that's who you are.
because I loved it. That stuff didn't really bother me. What I did feel was confused. It was more like, why is my name not there? But I wasn't offended. I wasn't like, oh damn, he's getting all the credit. I didn't really care about that. I just didn't understand it.
Exactly.
You know,
You didn't understand it.
I didn't understand it. We would come off stage, and typically all the compliments went to Juan. Wow, bro, that was hot. You killed it or whatever. And I'm standing right there. And like they might not have known that I did most of the choreography. That's okay. But like literally a lot of times people didn't address me. They just
Yep.
addressed him. And I danced. We were just dancing together. Like sometimes it was a solo, like the one you just put up from the cruise, right? So
Mhm.
it didn't have to be a team show. Me and Juan, we just did a show. I'm over here, doing all this stuff, and going back to the lifts. It wasn't easy for me because I'm tall, and I was very scared. I was scared that I'd be dropped. I was scared that I'd hurt the guys because I wasn't that light. I had a lot of insecurities about it. Once I
Tricks are
learned how to do
tough.
it,
Tricks are
huh?
tough no matter what size you are. Tricks are tough
Tricks are
and they're
tough.
scary. So
Yeah,
don't beat yourself up about it like that, but go on.
thank you. But I just felt like in my head it was an insecurity because I felt like if I was like 5 feet tall and 100 pounds, it would just be easier for the guys.
Mhm.
So I felt like I had to work harder to be like so much more technically sound so that they could lift me easily, because the size wasn't on my side,
Yeah.
right? Because my partner was the same height, if not a little shorter than me. So it wasn't easy. But once I learned how to do it, and we did take some lessons with Dave Paris, and Juan is really strong. I mean, the guy's strong for being like a relatively little guy. He's strong, and
He is very strong.
I mean, he's strong, right? So when I got comfortable and I realized like he got me, then I started enjoying it. Initially, I was terrified, but back to what we were saying, here I am doing all these lifts that took me so much work to get, doing all this technical stuff, splits, kicks, whatever, back bend, have you. and they're telling him he killed it. And I'm like, hello.
You're like, I'm standing. He
Like
wasn't out there by
I did all
himself.
that stuff. I was there too. That was my leg up in the air, you know.
Yeah, like you don't.
So
It's not about being like, oh my god, you were the best thing ever, but like acknowledge my presence.
acknowledge my presence, and I don't think it was done maliciously. I think it's just
I
the
don't think it's ever done maliciously.
right. It's the knee jerk reaction to go to the man,
Yep.
and because especially in Latin dancing, the man being the leader, and because most companies, dance companies, are run by men,
True.
the just the knee jerk reaction is, well, if you see a man and a woman dancing, the odds are that he's in charge. That's what people are going to assume. That's the knee
Yeah.
jerk reaction. There's not going to be a question, who's in charge here, or are you both in charge, because it could be mutual.
It could be mutual.
The assumption is going to be it's the man.
Yep.
And the thing is, it's awkward as a woman to correct people, because
Oh,
I
it's so
never
awkward.
ever wanted to come off like I'm trying to take away something from Juan, because again, his ideas were genius. He busted his ass. He was a great business person, a trustworthy, like, consistent dancer. I had nothing but good things to say about him as a dance partner. So if I jump in and I'm like, well, actually, I choreographed this, it's awkward.
It's so awkward. And like you said, you don't want to take anything away from them. It's not about that. Somebody, when I started doing the show, somebody sent me a message and they sent me, oh, you know who you should have on your show? And they sent me the name of a guy, dancer.
Your show is
And,
about women.
and I said, I love him. He's one of my favorites. But the show is called Women of Dance because I would like to showcase all these beautiful women that maybe not intentionally aren't getting the recognition that they deserve.
Yeah.
So, and again, it's not to take anything away from the men that we dance with or the men that are in our business, because you've danced with some incredible men. I've danced with some, like, I'm so grateful for my wonderful partners.
Yes.
They're awesome. That's why I dance with them, because I think they're so talented. So I don't want to take away from them. But there was something I was watching. It's going to sound silly. I've been binge watching Law and Order. Don't ask me why.
I love Law and Order.
I love the original, right? And they were talking about something and they said, just because there's justice for one person, it doesn't take it away from somebody else. It's not measurable, right? So just because I give you credit for something that I think you did, it doesn't take away from your partner. There's enough credit and appreciation to go around for everybody.
Amen. It's like love. Like love is abundant. The more you love, the more love you have to give.
Exactly.
Just because I love you doesn't mean I can't love this other person. It's the same thing. But because as people, we don't typically think of things that way. We feel like, credit has to go to one person, or, there's this concept of limits. We put limits.
Yeah.
And because something like that, where it's an artistic work, it comes down to like credit, like, well, who it's hard for people to perceive or understand. Like it could be a mutual thing. I mean, it could even be a whole team choreograph something, right? Like things like that happen. But when you see a partnership, yeah, people usually defer to the man. And yeah, for years on workshops, the workshop schedule would say Juan and partner, and he didn't like that. Like, he would fight for me, and he would always tell them like, hey, her name is Christina, can you put it on there, right? And eventually, as we started traveling the world and doing more and more things, then it became Juan and Christina, and that was no longer a thing. But I do remember for the first year or two or three, whatever it was, that it was just Juan and partner. And then, yeah, as we started performing all over the world, everybody knew Juan. But over time, we got to be known as a partnership, and people started respecting me for myself. And that was part of, that came through the solos and through teaching my own workshops and lady styling and doing more things on my own, where people got exposed to me as an instructor, and developing my own identity and brand. And that was important, for those same reasons, not because I ever wanted to separate myself or anything from him, but it was important to me to show that I am capable on my own as well. And a partner dance requires a partner, because it's a partner dance, but we're both equally capable and equally deserving.
Absolutely. You're so pretty when you dance. It was just such a beautiful moment. I was like, oh, sometimes I forget I'm doing an interview and I start watching the video.
I love
I'm like, oh, I love that routine.
Let me just tell you that it's awesome that you do that. I think
Oh,
it's really super cool. First of all, it really adds so much to the podcast for people to see all these things as we're talking about it. And I know it takes a lot of time and effort on the back end for you to prepare that. So thank you for doing that.
oh, you're welcome.
It's totally amazing. It really makes it special for me to see these memories that I haven't seen some of them in a long time. And I appreciate you for doing that. It's super professional and awesome that you do this.
Well, thank you so much. I hope that when I'm trying to do all this producing in the background that I don't make like stupid faces because apparently the camera's still working on me while I'm
You
flipping
could
through
never
my
make a
pages.
stupid face. You
I
know, you
know.
look fabulous. That said, that's the one I was telling you about earlier, which
Okay.
I did. I did a freestyle to that
And then
song,
you turned it into a
and then I
routine.
turned it into a routine, and there it is. And you know what? This is how I can prove that. One of the ways I can prove that this is true. That song is not edited. I danced to the whole song, and it's long, but I
Oh
danced to
my
the whole
God.
song because I had just done the freestyle, and I ended up was like, I don't want to cut anything out. I whatever, and I just did the whole song.
Oh my God.
It's
That's a lot of freestyling.
it's a lot, but because I kind of like felt like enamored to the whole dance after doing the freestyle, I couldn't decide what to cut out, so I ended up using the whole thing in my solo. And you'll like if you watch that whole dance, it's really long, but that was fun. That was getting into bachata. You know, I had not done much bachata. You remember back in the day, bachata was the break time. Like we wouldn't dance
Yeah.
bachata. Like we just danced salsa all night, every night, hardcore. And when the bachata came on, it was like, okay, I'm gonna get some water now. Like we
I
didn't.
didn't even know what bachata was. I knew what salsa was. I knew what mambo was. I knew what cha-cha was, but I had no idea what bachata was when I first heard about it. I was like, but what?
Yeah, I had danced it, but it was very basic stuff. Like it was, I didn't know. I I couldn't have realized like how big it was gonna go. It was gonna get.
I don't think any of us thought how big it was. Like it
It's
just
amazing to see.
it's exploded.
Right, we yeah, like having been around long enough to see the whole progression and the whole dynamic of the bachata's journey is really cool because we saw it, like we knew when it was break time when nobody did it. So seeing
Yep.
it to where it's gotten now, it's really cool to have seen that whole journey, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's amazing, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do. That's one of the big reasons why I've always respected, you know, George and Tanya and wanted to do the franchises because their number, the Extraño, was one of the primary things that got
Mhm.
bachata to blow up and that started this avalanche, right? So I
Absolutely.
appreciate them for that because I was actually in the audience that Congress. That was Orlando, I'm pretty sure, when they debuted that routine, and Juan was sitting next to me, and I remember we were like, oh, this is big. This is a moment right now. We just witnessed a moment because the crowd went nuts, like, and people were going crazy for a bachata choreo, something that
Yep.
we would have never thought put
You know,
bachata on the
Tanya and I
stage, you
talked
know?
about you a little bit. We talked about you with
Really?
your yeah, I had her on the show and I asked her about the franchise and I asked her what was the largest team that she had and she said flat out, Christina, you've been running shit. You have some large teams. You've had huge ones over
Yes.
the years. How many are you running currently?
Yeah, currently, you know, I'm just getting back into
Well,
things
I'm
because of
sorry. Let's say pre-COVID, how many teams did you have?
pre-COVID. Okay, I had two mambo teams, the partner and the shines, two
Mhm.
bachata teams, partner and shines. I also had bachata sensual. I was doing Daniel and Desiree for a while, like you.
Yep.
I had my CX pro and my CX semi pro, and I had a lady styling team. So I don't know, what does that add up to. I'm not even sure. It was close to
Two
10 teams.
mambos, two bachatas, the sensual. What did you say after that? Oh, CX
CX
semi-pro,
pro,
CX pro,
semi,
lady.
yeah,
8 teams, people.
yeah,
8 teams at once.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's when you officially get the title of boss babe.
I love that title.
I mean, listen, if you're running 8 teams successfully, you are a boss. Cuz running one team is hard.
Yeah,
I
it's
can't
very hard.
imagine I cannot imagine the work you had to put in, the organizational skills that it
That's it.
took
That's it.
to
Or
be able to run all of those teams successfully to the point where they weren't small teams.
no, they were big.
Each each team was big.
Yeah, yeah. Our touch partner team has been so big some seasons that we had to have two rehearsals. So like typically, we would do our one rehearsal a week. It was so big on multiple occasions that we didn't fit in the studio. So we needed to do two sessions. So we would do
Oh my
session A,
god.
B back to back because we had like close to 25, 25 to 30 couples. And we couldn't do 25 to 30 couples in our studio. So we our space is not as big as like say La Luna, or even your studio is pretty big. Our emotion studio that you have is pretty big. Where I work out of Starry Night, it's a nice space, it's a good space, but comfortably, we could have like 15 couples. I want to say 12 to 15 comfortably. Beyond that, it starts getting a little tight.
Yeah.
Like beyond like 15 couples, a little tight, especially if we're doing like splits or whatever stuff. So at that point, when we got to close to like 30 couples, we were doing double sessions. So that's how big it was. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. How do you coordinate rehearsals for that many people?
It's what you said. It's organization. A lot of organizing, getting people schedules. Like I would ask people, like, okay, tell me what your afternoon looks like, what preferred time block, and just put them into time blocks. Making sure that I had enough partners because usually there's more women, so we would have double partners. So we would make sure the men and most, thankfully these things would work out because it's also by the grace of God. But
Yeah.
making sure that the men could attend both sessions. So the way we
Okay.
did it was like session A, let's say it was like me and you, Sharonne and Christina, we're sharing, Jack. So you would be session A with Jack and I would be session B with Jack. And that way we both had a partner the whole time, but Jack would need to be,
Wow.
but because the men typically want extra practice because the lead, et cetera, is tough.
Yeah, yeah, for
They
sure.
were welcoming, obviously I didn't charge them double dues. So they were getting twice the training. So
Oh,
for them,
that's
it was
great
a
for them.
win-win. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, help me out, do two sessions, but I'm not going to charge you twice. And most of them were like, yeah, that's great. I get twice the review. So it worked out.
Win-win.
Then everybody, all the ladies had their partner, the men got their double training. We did the two sessions. So it was all coming up with creative ideas. So I think the thing with this is just the moments that people might perceive as roadblocks or problems is just turning them into something positive. Find a solution. There's always a solution. It might be complicated, challenging, but there's always a solution. And once you find it, there's your win-win, right? So we could say, oh, we don't fit. Oh, well, we can't have more than this many couples, but no, we got to figure out a way to do it because we're not going to cap ourselves. So it's always just finding solutions, finding creative ways to make things work.
Very impressive, girl. I mean, I can't. I'm very impressed with you and how you do all of this. So I commend you for that. I know you have auditions coming up this weekend.
I do, yes.
So let everybody know about that. If you're in the Jersey area, New York, New Jersey, PA, right around there, that's the area you're servicing. So let them know what's going on.
Yes. So I'm so happy to have auditions again after all this time, right? That we couldn't, do anything. So it's a big one for me just because I'm just so happy that we're finally getting back into things. The studio is in Central Jersey. It's Garwood. It's a very small random town, but most people are familiar with Union and Elizabeth. So it's in that area. And it's a great centralized location. So we get people from up north, all the way up close to the city and all the way down like Philly, right? So it works because it's central. We were having auditions at 3 p.m. at the studio, Starry Night Dance Studio, and it's for our bachata teams. So it's for both the Shines and the partner. We just teach a little combination, so you don't have to come in with anything prepared or anything like that. Teach a little combination and then they feed it back to us, and we're very welcoming. We welcome everyone. You don't need to have any prior experience on a dance team as long as you're comfortable with bachata. You don't have to be advanced even, but know the fundamentals of bachata. That's all we ask. From there on we'll train you. So yeah, we're looking for both members for both teams, Shines and partner. And we have a really exciting season ahead because we are going to bring back an old choreography. We haven't
Ooh,
decided which one yet, but we're going to be bringing back an old dance. It's going to be really fun. People are going to get to do something that they saw that they didn't have a chance to do. So we're just trying to decide which one because they're all so good. I mean, again, props to George and Tanya. All the choreographies are beautiful, and we're just struggling to pick one. But it's going to be a fun season. We're gonna do a throwback. We're gonna do a throwback.
love it. That's a good problem to have. Which
It is.
fun rate routine do we do? Like, oh,
Yeah,
such a problem.
great problem to have. I've been doing, as part of my little promotional campaign, I've been posting one of my favorite routines every day from
Yes, I saw that. That's why I didn't include any of the routines in this because I want them to go to your page. So I'm going to tag you.
Thank
Guys,
you.
she's been posting a different video every single day as a countdown for this. I love that you're doing that. So I'm going to tag Christina on the video. And this way you guys can go to her page, get all that information to follow her. Where can they follow you also on Twitter? Twitter, Instagram?
Yes, I'm
Where
not on
else?
Twitter. I'm on Insta, Kubani8484.
Okay.
And yeah, Kubani, Cuban with an I, 8484. And my Facebook is just my name, Christina Piedra.
Wonderful. Christina, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me today.
Oh, you're welcome. I appreciate you. I love you. I've been seeing you all these years, and so proud of everything you've done.
Thank you.
Yes, and I love that you're doing this. This is awesome. This is great that you're letting women have a voice and talk about our experiences. So thank you for having me. I'm honored.
I'm honored that you are here. I love you to pieces. You have always been so genuine and so kind and so warm. So thank you for sharing your time with us. Before she's gone, everybody, the final question always, if you could give one piece of advice to a woman who wants to be in this industry, what would it be?
Wow, that's a great question. One piece of advice: there's no limit. Don't put a limit on yourself. No boundaries. Whatever you envision that you want to do, that you see yourself doing, do it. It's not about women, men. There's no wall. That glass has shattered.
Love
So
it.
go for your dreams. That would be my advice. Go for your dreams, because we create our own walls and boundaries, and our insecurities hold us back. So if you remove those things and trust in your ability and your skill and your confidence, anything is possible.
Love it. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining us next week. My guest is Sonia Kirako from Montreal.
Oh, I love her.
I love her.
Tune in. Don't miss her. She's awesome.
She is. Can't wait. Thanks again, love. Mwah. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week.
Thank you.